Hey guys, it's Tyler, and today we are back in the bee laboratory. That is what I'm going to call it from now on. And today we're going to look at a couple of interesting and kind of complicated things, so you're going to need to stay with me during this episode. We're going to talk about kind of some math behind the bees to figure out production rates, as well as looking at these beautiful frames here and what they do and how they can affect this. So I don't have a lot prepared for this episode because I'm going to be throwing up a lot of pop-ups on the screen and stuff like that. I only have an apiary and an alveary, and it's raining. Let's turn the rain off. So in my apiary right now, I have a simple Meadows Queen breeded with a Meadows drone. So it's a purebred Meadows working here. And we're going to want to look at the traits of these guys to figure out some stuff. But let's first talk about the bee cycle. The bee cycle is about 27.5 seconds. Okay? And basically what that's saying is every 27.5 seconds, there's a chance of the bee producing an item. Okay, so now we need to figure out what the probability of producing a certain item would be. And that's figured out by a very simple formula. The speed trait of the bee multiplied by the production modifier multiplied by the item probability. Okay, so what does that all mean? Well, the speed trait is what's shown on your bee either when you look at it in a Beealyzer or in NEI. So we can see that the Meadows Princess is the slowest worker, okay? And the slowest trait is the worst trait that you can have, and I will throw up a pop-up right now to show you that. But that has a 0.3 bee speed. Okay, keep that in mind, we have a 0.3. Now the production modifier, what does that mean? That basically means, is your bee in an apiary or is it in an alveary? And this is where the alveary does make a huge difference compared to the apiary. The apiary's production modifier is 0.1, okay? The alveary's is 1. So that makes a big difference between 0.1 and 1 for whether the bee will produce an item during that cycle. Next we have the item probability, and this is where NEI is really handy. When we go and press U over our bee, we can see exactly what it's going to make. And it's a 30% chance of it making a honeycomb. And if you're, good at math, you would know that 30% is also 0.3. So now we have our speed, which is 0.3, our production modifier, which is 0.1, and our item production probability, which is 0.3. So you can pull out a calculator and you can say 0.3 times 0.3 times 0.1, and you're going to find out that that's 0.009, okay? And if we were to change that to a percentage, we would find out that is 0.09% chance of a bee producing a honeycomb during one of these cycles. That's why you can go an entire bee life without them producing a honeycomb. It is usually likely for them to, but it is a pretty low chance. Now, how can we make that chance go up? And this is why we have frames. And frames are really useful, especially because they're really not that expensive when you really think about it. The most basic frame you can make is the Untreated Frame. And it's very simply just sticks and string. And what this guy's going to do is multiply the production speed by 2. And that's a lot, and we're going to talk about where that fits in here in a sec. But it has a durability of 80, so once you put it in, it will wear down. And you can fit 3 of them in at any time, which is going to come in handy when we talk about our formula again. But every tick, there's a chance of the durability going down, and a higher chance of them producing an item. Now, the Impregnated Frame is the exact same as the Untreated. It has a production of times 2. So we can put that in as well. But he's a little bit more expensive to make. He needs the impregnated sticks, which is made from some seed oil and some logs in your carpenter. Now, the benefit of making these, they have a much larger durability at 240 instead of 80. Then we have the proven frames, and these are the main forestry best frames you can get, I guess you could say. These are from villagers. You can't craft them, you need to find a forestry bee villager, and you can get these proven frames. And they do the exact same thing as these. They have that times 2 multiplier on them, and they have a durability of 720. So if you can get your hands on these are really nice to have. So we have those, but what do the rest of these do? Well, the chocolate frame is basically your reduce the lifespan of the bee. It has a 1.5 production rate, so it is going to increase your production, and it has a 0.5 lifespan, so it's also going to bring down the life of the bee faster. We also have the restraint frame, and it will have a 0.75 lifespan, so it's going to bring down the lifespan a bit, 0.75 production, so it's going to bring down the production a bit, and then it also has a 0.5 area, and what that means, I don't know if we can look at the stats now, we need a beealyzer, but the bees that have effects, such as the tropical bee with the poison, the area is where in proximity to the hive you can get stung by that bee, basically, or the effect can occur. So the area will go down if you have the restraint frame in there, so maybe you want that for your tropical bees so you don't get stung a lot. That's mainly the only use of the restraint frame. The soul frame is actually really nice because it increases the mutation chance of the bee by 1.5. So if you want a higher percentage of getting your bees to properly breed and you want to get that common right away, you can make a soul frame very simply impregnated in soul sand and get that made up. And I'll show you real quick. Iron bar and impregnated, and then cocoa beans and impregnated. So the impregnated is basically your main base with some stuff added around it. The healing is going to increase the lifespan by 1.5, but bring down the production by 0.75 and bring down your mutation by 0.5. Now we have the Oblivion and the Nova, and the Oblivion is made from this essence of scornful oblivion, which is made from a dragon egg and all this other stuff. Very expensive to make. You can also find it in dungeon chests, but it is a part of Magic Bees, and this is really the only Magic Bees frame I'm going to talk about, because the other ones are a bit complicated. They need, Bombcraft and all that, and I'm not part of that life. So I'll let you guys figure out those on your own. The main frames you want are these anyway. But the Oblivion frame is very useful if you can get your hands on one, because it will basically kill the bee after the bee tick. So as soon as they will go through their next cycle, they will die right away. And it's very useful if you want to breed really fast and get mutations going. So I highly recommend trying to find one of these, or if you can make one of these from all of this crazy stuff, then go for it, because they are very useful. They will have a durability of, I think, 240, but as you can see, it died right away. So very helpful. The Nova frame, it's only gotten in creative mode, so if you are an op on a server, or you are just playing around in creative mode, you can spawn this guy in, and he's basically going to do the same thing as the Oblivion frame, but it's also going to add a 100% mutation chance. So if you want to breed your bees really fast and make sure you get the mutation right away, you can spawn in yourself a Nova frame. However, that is cheating, so I don't advise that. Yeah. So let's talk about how our formula here can be changed by these frames. So we started off with the Meadows bees having a production rate of 0.3 times 0.3 times 0.1. Okay? Now, that was 0.009. But we also added in now some frames. So how do those add into the equation? Well, we're going to do the same thing. The bee speed, so 0.3, times the production modifier, which is 0.1, times our item chance, which is 0.3, and then we're also going to do times 2 raised to the number of frames we have. So 2 raised to the 3 right now. We now have a percentage of we have a decimal of 0.072, which is actually a 7.2% chance of them producing a honeycomb, and as you can see, they just did. So that's really cool, and that basically made our bees a lot more useful to have these frames in here. Now, just to show you the difference, so if these 3 frames are in here with our Meadows bees producing honey in an apiary, what would the difference be if we had the same thing in the alveary with some frame housings in here that we could put some frames in with our bees to get this all good? Let's figure that out. So we have 0.3 times 1, which is our alveary modifier, times 0.3 times 2 raised to the 3. Okay, that is a 0.72 decimal, which is a 72% chance that every bee tick, so every 27.5 seconds, the bee has a 72% chance of producing an item. That is a ridiculous amount of chance right there that you can get an item after a bee tick. Now, just to go even more insane, since the alveoli can have more frame houses in it, what if we had, let's say, 5? So we can do our formula again, 0.3 times 1 times 0.3 times 2 raised to the 5. That is now a 288% chance of you producing an item every single time. So having that many frames is really a waste, because you already have more than 100, so why would you do that? And that's why you kind of want to figure out this math to know just how many frames you need to put into your thing. But that will ensure that the bee will produce an item every single tick. That's why the alveoli is the most useful bee tool that you can have. And that is also why next episode we're going to focus it only on the alveoli. We're going to talk about everything that he can do and all that cool stuff. But I hope you guys enjoyed this little bee math to figure out exactly what the percentages are of your bee producing stuff. And I hope you also enjoyed seeing how frames work and how they can fit into your system here to get things all good and set up. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a like, leave a comment, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!